Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Podcast. My name is Ross Benjamin. It's Friday, July 29th. I want to say I got a special guest today, but he's going to be with us weekly, every Friday. His name is Mr. Jesse Shule of jesseshule.com, the man they call the Iceman, and we'll have him explain why. And Jesse, welcome aboard.
Thanks for having me, Ross.
And you are a special guest, my man. So Jesse's been doing this for a long time, like myself, and he's had a high degree of success. I mean, this guy was a handicapper at that coveted site that everybody wanted to be on at one time, covers.com, and recently Covers pulled the plug on selling picks on their site, and guys have scrambled all around, but not Jesse. Jesse's with me at sportsmemo.com. Also at picksandparleys.net. And folks, he's always on top of not always, but he's on the leaderboards more regularly than a lot of the rest. So let's put it that way. Jesse, tell the folks a little bit about how you got going in the sports betting industry and where you're at this juncture of your career.
Well, Ross, I started out as a young kid, 19, 20 years old, gambling on sports with my friends, and lucky me, sometimes it's who you know, right? And
yeah,
one of my best friends just happens to be a really successful handicapper, one of the biggest names in the industry. And I won't drop any names. For those who know, they know. For those who don't, that's just the way it is. But I grew up betting on sports with my friends, and after winning a big payday, I moved to Thailand at the age of 24 years old and worked as an English teacher, just getting by, living a party lifestyle. And a few years later, my old friend came and looked me up and offered me a job working for Covers. So that's basically how I got my start.
Wow, very nice. People may say you got lucky. You said you were in the right place at the right time. If I'm reading you right, but at the end of the day, once that door opens, folks, you have to succeed no matter what line of business you're in or venture of work you take on a daily basis. And I can tell you, this guy has not only exceeded, he's been super successful. And we're awful glad that we could have him on the Winner's Circle every Friday going forward during the football season and maybe beyond. We'll see how Jesse feels about that. But one step at a time, Jesse. Today we're going to be talking the NFL. We're going to be giving out some regular season win totals. Jesse will be covering those Seattle Seahawks, and I'm anxious to see what he has to say about that because all of a sudden Seattle is not relative. They weren't relative last year, and they look to be even worse this year. But you know what? You just never know. And I'm going to be covering the New York Giants for you. We'll have regular season win totals predictions on both of those teams, but stay with us for just a little bit here as we're going to discuss some NFL preseason handicapping. And Jesse, the pundits will tell you that you can't make any money out of the preseason. How could you handicap the preseason? I don't know. I've had 4 top 10 finishes at sportscapping.com during the NFL preseason since 2010. You've had a lot of success in handicapping NFL preseason. Tell the folks a little bit about what you look at, what your strategy is, and how you go about your business during the NFL preseason.
Well, Ross, I think first and foremost, the most important thing for me is I try to be very selective in the preseason. So I'm not firing away on every single game. I look for the opportunities to present themselves. And, my goal is to hit somewhere around 70%. And more often than not, I come at least close to hitting that in the preseason with my selective approach. And additionally, I'm looking for quarterback battles. I'm looking for teams that are trying to find their offense, and they need to play. I mean, if you're looking to discover who your quarterback's going to be, then you need to play your starting offensive linemen, your starting receivers, and your starting running backs to give them an opportunity to showcase their skills. And that's going to be a lot different than some teams who know who their quarterback's going to be, and they just want to rest those players and keep them healthy.
Yeah, well, I mean, that sounds like a solid foundational basis on how you go about your business. I went through my handicapping strategy yesterday with Doug Upstone on our show, and I don't want to bore the folks again, but I did mention to follow some head coaching trends during the preseason. Quite simply put, folks, some head coaches take the preseason a lot more serious than others. It's a proven fact. John Harbaugh, I thought I had here. Let me see if I got that for you. Excuse me for just 1 second. But I had some nice notes here. I mean, John Harbaugh of the Baltimore Ravens, this guy, if they're keeping score, he wants to win, Jesse. I mean, they have a tremendous, it's since 2014, Baltimore's 25-3 straight up and 24-3-1 against the spread in the preseason, all under Harbaugh. That's a lot of money, Jesse. That's a no-brainer play, huh?
We might have missed that boat, though.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to be giving us any deals to bet on the Ravens.
No, I mean, and you would have thought they would have caught up to them over the last couple of years. But, I mean, I gave you that record since 2014. Then we go back to 2018, and they're 20-0 straight up and 18-1-1 against the spread in their last 20 NFL preseason games under John Harbaugh. Just terrific. And again, Jesse, goes hand in hand what you're talking about. Starting quarterback rotations are very important. If you add the head coaching element in, another guy to take a look at is Sean McDermott in Buffalo. They've gone 8-0 straight up in ATS in their last 8 NFL preseason games. I wouldn't say that McDermott has that killer instinct like Harbaugh does during the preseason, doesn't put the emphasis on let's win. I just think he's been the beneficiary of some very good planning by general manager Brandon Beane and himself to develop a very deep roster. And like Jesse says, you got to look at those backup quarterbacks on each team, right? Because a guy like Josh Allen, I don't know why you didn't want to take a risk in playing him other than maybe a series or two during the preseason, right, Jesse?
Yeah, I wouldn't expect Allen to see much time out there.
Yeah. So those are a couple things you want to look at when you're handicapping the NFL preseason. On the other side of the coin, Dallas 7-21 straight up, and 6-19 and 3 against the spread in the preseason recent times. So a lot of that came under Jason Garrett. It continued with McCarthy last year, who went 0-4 straight up in ATS with the Packers during the preseason. Okay, Jesse, the pressure's on, buddy. It's your debut here on the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Podcast. And we're all sitting on pins and needles and the drum roll. And tell us what you got for the Seattle Seahawks.
Well, I'm going to go under 6 wins at DraftKings. The markets are a bit split on this. There's a lot of 5.5s out there, and a few still have 6s. I'm going to go under the 6. I mean, I'm looking at Seattle. They're coming off a 7-10 season, the first losing season for Pete Carroll in Seattle. Of course, they've had a ton of success there. Won a Super Bowl. Probably should have made it 2 back-to-back Super Bowls if they had handed off to Marshawn Lynch, but they didn't do that. But they did make the playoffs in 9 of 12 years. But this is a rebuilding year. We're going from the let Russ cook era to cooking without Russ. And you look at the quarterback situation in Seattle right now, it's not pretty. Geno Smith played in 4 games last year. They lost 3 of those 4 games. The one win came against the Jacksonville Jaguars at home in Seattle. You don't have the luxury of playing the Jaguars at home every week. So I very much doubt that Geno Smith is going to be the answer. We got Drew Lock coming over from Denver, and the 3 seasons he spent with the Broncos, if those are any indication, he could be in trouble as well. He's got a career completion percentage under 60%. Yeah. His touchdown to interception ratio, 25 TDs, 20 picks. That's not good. And he steps in behind what is ranked the worst offensive line in football, according to Pro Football Focus. The Seahawks have 2 rookie tackles, Charles Cross out of Mississippi State and Abraham Lucas out of Wazoo. So it looks like Pete Carroll is getting his offensive lineman from his buddy from the ex-Washington State coach. Their schedule actually is one of the lone bright sides. If you look at their opponent winning percentage, their schedule doesn't look that bad, but it doesn't really pass the eye test. When you actually break it down game by game and you say, where are the spots that Seattle are going to be a favorite? I can only isolate 3 games that they're actually expected to win, to be a favorite. And those 3 games, it starts with week 8 against the Giants, at home against the Giants. You'd think that Seattle would probably be a favorite against the New York Giants at home. Now, I'm not saying you can pencil in a W either. There's no guarantee that Seattle's going to beat the Giants. The next game that I figure they're going to be a favorite is they got the Panthers at home in week 14. Again, the Panthers have a season win total of 6.5, which is higher than Seattle's. They have a more established quarterback. I mean, people are a little split on Baker Mayfield. Some people think he's great. Some people think he's terrible. But I would rate Baker Mayfield higher than Drew Lock and Geno Smith myself. And then in week 17, they get the Jets. Who knows what's going to be going on by week 17? That's probably going to be a meaningless game for both teams. So maybe you'd have to like the home team there. But again, those are the 3 games that they're supposed to win. But I'm not penciling them in with W's in any of those 3 games. I think it's going to be really hard for Seattle to win 6 games. I sent you a meme last night. I don't know if you got it, but I guess they just
yes, with DK Metcalf. Yes. Yeah.
And it had the 0-17 season on the highway. And after signing DK Metcalf, playoffs and Super Bowl. Well, I don't think so.
You have to have somebody who can get him the ball, Jesse. You know.
Well, I was going to compare him to Odell Beckham Jr. You might remember back in 2018, Odell Beckham signed a $92 million contract. And look at what happened to him since. Now, I know he's battled injuries, but he also has drama, off the field issues, attitude problems. He got his money. His competitiveness waned after he got his money. And Metcalf reminds me of Odell Beckham Jr. I mean, the hair, the outburst, the passion, the unpredictability. I could see him going the same way Odell Beckham Jr. went, and that's a recipe for disaster for the Seahawks.
Well, let's hope not. You know what I mean? Because both of those players are extremely talented. And we saw a huge upside when Odell Beckham first came into the league with the Giants. But, DK Metcalf has also taken a league by storm since his rookie year. And, one of the biggest wide receivers. And I'm not talking about just height. I'm talking about bulk. I'm just trying to figure out how they had those receivers at Ole Miss in the senior year, and tight end Dawson Knox, who plays for Buffalo right now. And AJ Brown was their other receiver at Ole Miss, and somehow they went 5-7 in their senior year. No wonder why that coach was gone. Miri, you could have coached that team and got them to a bowl game, for crying out loud, Jesse. So I want to let you people know, one of Jesse's strong suits is he doesn't smile very often, but we're going to break that habit when he's on this show. I want him to smile. I want him to have fun. And hopefully, folks, you're intelligent enough to follow his advice, because this guy just plain wins. That's all he does. Okay. So if you're looking for a personality that's going to have you laughing and jumping on the floor, there's a lot of them out there, but your bankroll is going to be depleted real quick. Right here, my man here, he just tells it like it is, man. And they call him Jesse the Body for a reason. Look at this guy working out. They sent me a picture yesterday from OSGA, and they said, here's a picture we're going to use for the show. I says, look it, the guy's 20 pounds lighter. He cut all his beard off, and he's been working out like an ox. Give me another picture. So wait till you see the picture I got. This sharp picture of you in this suit, and boy, it fits the personality very well. Anyway, let me get to my pick. The New York Giants. The New York football Giants last year were absolutely terrible, going 4-13. And Joe Judge, after just 2 years on the job, was let go, and rightfully so. The Giants has had no cohesion. There wasn't a very good culture there. And Judge, after 2 seasons of going a combined 10-23, is gone. In comes new head coach Brian Dable. Dable has spent the last 4 years as Buffalo's offensive coordinator. He's a first-time head coach at the NFL level. As a matter of fact, a first-time head coach at any level. And I can tell you, Giants fans, if anybody's going to get anything out of Daniel Jones, it'll be Brian Dable, because he's got a creative mind offensively, and I think you're going to be quite pleased with him. The big key will be offensively, not only the new coaching staff, but Saquon Barkley has to stay healthy. The Giants can't afford to have him have the health issues he's had over the last couple years, which has forced him to miss a lot of time and also put a lot of undue pressure on Daniel Jones in that quarterback room. And he has to carry the load a little more than the Giants would have liked. And as a result, we saw a lot of mistakes. I think he's going to cut back on those mistakes this year. And let me tell you something, guys. If you're a Giants fan and you start screaming for Jones to get out and Tyrod Taylor to come in, yeah, Tyrod Taylor won't turn the ball over nearly as much as Jones, but you'll have you pulling your hair out because he doesn't take any chances. And you're not going anywhere with Tyrod Taylor as your quarterback, unless he has to be thrown in because of injury. That's another story. Strength of schedule. Real quickly, I look at it from two angles. Number one is the angle that I put the most emphasis on, Jesse. What I do is I look at the opponent's win total projections by the odds makers, add that number up, and it really equates to a strength of schedule for me. So basically, in this particular instance, all the opponents that the Giants are facing this year, the regular season win totals projections add up to 139. And that's the second easiest schedule in the NFL. Okay, so the only one that they surpass in that regard is the Philadelphia Eagles at 138. So they have the 31st toughest schedule in the NFL when using that calculation. The other is to look at what those teams' win percentages were from the season before, meaning the Giants' opponents this year, what their winning percentage was the year before. And actually, when you do that equation, you're going to see that the Giants are playing in a top 10 tough schedule. Now, having said that, I trust the odds makers a heck of a lot more than I trust past results. When I see a team that has a opponent's win percentage of 535 from the season ago, like the Giants have, and their win total goes up to 7 after winning just 4 games, the red flags come on, buddy. And they got to play the AFC South this year, which I think is going to be the worst division in all of football. I'm going to take the New York Giants here over the total of 7. Very small play here, folks. And you're going to get money line odds of plus 105. You should get money line odds in the plus money no matter where you go right now. So small shot on the Giants over 7. And Jesse Shule, he likes the Seattle Seahawks to go under the regular season win total of 6. Jesse, tell the folks about your website or about anything else you'd like to promote that you have going on.
Well, I will say that over the years, over the past decade, I've had better results with college football than I've had with the NFL. Obviously, still winning with NFL. I've had some big seasons, but more consistent and a higher win percentage with the college game. You can check out my records. They're published at my own website as well as sportscapping.com. Sportscapping is a good resource to check everybody's records. Right?
Yeah,
they're very
absolutely.
transparent with the records. Yep. And if you look at their all-time college football handicappers, you'll see me on that list. That's something for me to be proud of. And I'm really looking forward to the college season as much as I am the NFL season.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you give us, you know, I've talked about this on several occasions. The college football schedule, especially on a Saturday, anytime you give us 60 or 70 games to look at, it opens up a broader window for us to find betting value as opposed to the NFL on a Sunday. So, yeah, handicappers like Jesse Shule, who have that expertise and proven success. He's done awfully well in college football, folks. Check him out, jesseshule.com. Again, folks, he's also a handicapper with me at sportsmemo.com. He's also a handicapper at picksandparleys.net, which I'm there, and also sportscapping.com, which we're both there as well. But check him out at his website, first and foremost, because you know why? 100% of the money goes to him, and we're not paying somebody who doesn't even know how to handicap games. Go to jesseshule.com. Go to rbwins.com. That's my website. And folks, NFL preseason coming up. I've had 4 top 10 finishes at sportscapping.com since 2010. Jesse told you about his success. So there's money to be made in the NFL preseason, folks. Visit us both, purchase with us both. But until the next time, which will be next Friday with Jesse, I'll be back on Monday. Jesse, have a great weekend. And thank you for coming aboard. And we look forward to having you throughout the season.
Thank you for having me, Ross.
Always a pleasure, my friend. Until the next time, folks, take care. God bless and good luck.